conversational with you this morning. This is Eagles Outlook, where we talk politics and current affairs. What are we getting into very quickly? I mean, a quick look into what Nigerian diaspora, quite stark, dear country. If you recall that there's been quite a number of conversations, I mean, from stakeholders, elder statesmen like the Obasanjos and all of that, accusing the current administration, and not just the current administration, but accusing the past leaders of our dear country, this great country, Nigeria, of having, enthroned corruption, having enthroned pain and suffering, having enthroned injustice. I mean, you saw the recent comments by the former president, Olusegun Obasanjo, where he had made it clear that, look, if we must fight and stamp out corruption, we must begin from the top, from the very leaders themselves, before we begin to visit, to the, lower cadre. And we have also seen how the presidency have come all out, into Obasanjo at the time, discrediting some of the things that he has said, and of course also pointing out that during his administration too, there were also pitfalls that he also made, a certain lacuna that could be registered under his name. I mean, we've also seen the likes of Obi, the LP presidential candidate, also come out at the time to give us 2 cents, as to the decisiveness regarding the issues of they've also seen the former vice president during the Obasanjo regime, Atiku Abubakar, also bring a sense, out there telling Nigerians, and probably telling himself to how best, we have soared in terms of enthroning corruption as well as dethroning justice and the place of injustice here and there. But if you also recall that Davido, or Davido if you like to call him, I mean, a very popular entertainer in the music industry in Nigeria, had also been mentioned as to very recently having said certain things about Nigeria, where in the diaspora, I think he was in an interview right there, and with this whole Trump card and everything going on in the US, and quite a number of people expressing interest, to come to visit countries like Nigeria, or to come and even have permanent residency in Nigeria. He had mentioned, hey, don't come. And this would not really be a good time for you to come and to Nigerians, especially to those Nigerians who are in the diaspora too, saying, okay, maybe we'll just visit home. Maybe those who never had the experience of what Nigeria feels like, but they're from there, they just know by virtue of audio that, okay, you're from Nigeria and all of that. So he's saying to them, don't. And he had said such. I mean, we've also seen quite a number. There's so much to talk about in this regard. But then one that fascinates me, and of course one is the one we'll be having a conversation about, would be Kemi Badenoch's comment on Nigeria. We're just going to have a little bit of critical analysis, to Kemi Badenoch's comment, where she had said quite a number of things. I mean, she made several about Nigeria that had sparked controversy. I mean, some of the notable ones would be the criticism of Nigeria, where she described growing up in Lagos, Nigeria. She described the home city as a place where almost everything seemed broken during a tour of the US, right? And we know in public funds, citing an example of former Ekiti State Governor Ayo Fayoshe's comment on the use of Wike's money. And there's also a response to criticism from our part, from the Nigerian part, where after the Nigerian Vice President Kashim Shettima accused her of denigrating Nigeria, belittling Nigeria, trying to bring Nigeria into the mud and drag us, without fear or tremble, drag us in the mud without consideration, drag us in the mud, our good aspects, Badenoch spokesman had said she stands by what she says and is not the PR for Nigeria. In fact, she said that unapologetically. And now this has grown some thoughts, where quite a number of people have come from the place of, hey, you know what? As much as we are very quick to saying that Kemi Badenoch's comments may be denigrating of our dear country, Nigeria, is it true or is it not? Would have been the question that we should ask. Others say, okay, even if it was true, should we indeed stick to that narrative, especially considering the fact that in this current dispensation, as well as time and age and administration, there is a waking up of Nigerians spread across different ages. Even the Gen Zs, as you like to call them, are beginning to, join the crusade to knowing what governance and governing means, by virtue of the fact that they are also, in one way, one too many ways to mention, affected by the excruciating reality, which you might want to argue that it didn't really start from this administration. I mean, it started from past administration. I mean, the Buhari administration got fame and popularity for some very crazy policies that didn't actually allow for the country to soar, but rather the country nosedived even further and further. But then there is an argument that says that the current administration is also doing its bid to repair the losses and ensure that we come back to the place of greatness and glory. But then many would say that as much as you want to say that, UD, and to every other person that's sharing this thought, that the reality is what we use in pegging whether or not there is progress or not. But then some would also come from the place of, hey, for something that has, for a system or a process that has been rotten, that has been denigrated, that has been destroyed, right? Reviving it takes quite a lot. Takes a lot of process. Hence, maybe, just maybe, time is what we need to give the current administration so that we see the dividends of some of the grown policies that they put in place as a seed, hoping that as they plant it in the soil, that it will indeed bear fruit and grow into a solid tree. But then when we look again at all of these angles in the discourse, let us also give you a background of who Kemi Badenoch is. Now, she is the leader of the Conservative Party, I think in the UK now, and she was born in Wimbledon in London to Nigerian parents. Now, she spent part of her childhood in Lagos, Nigeria, before returning to the UK at 16. Badenoch's experiences growing up in Nigeria have significantly influenced her political views. Now, her comments about Nigeria have sparked controversy, with some accusing her of denigrating, her country of origin. And the pertinent question that would come to mind would be, how do politicians' personal experiences shape, their political ideologies? And if you also look at it, I mean, she's faced quite a number of criticisms over her comments about Nigeria, describing it as a country plagued by corruption and insecurity. Corruption and insecurity. These are the two pillars that she had come, with in this criticism of hers. Now, Nigerian Vice President Kashim Shettima accused her of denigrating Nigeria, and that was suggesting she removed the Kemi from a name if she's not proud of her heritage. Badenoch's spokesman responded, stating that she stands by her comment and is not Nigeria's PR representative. Well, that is where the bickering goes and all of that. But then experiences has been one that cannot be taken away from us. Our experiences, just as that of Kemi's, is one that you don't forget in a hurry. If you have been unlawfully, treated or maltreated, it sticks. If somebody unlawfully or treats you in a very unkind way, it will stick, even though there is always a place of forgiveness, restitution, all of that. But then, do the scars really move away? Well, I don't want to go all religious, but then again, Nigeria struggled with corruption and insecurity for decades, and the country has had a complex history with multiple military coups, and there were periods of civilian rule. And Badenoch's comments about Nigeria reflects the country's ongoing challenge. Now, how has the historical event shaped Nigeria's current political and economic, landscape? Has it really shaped us for the better, or has it shaped us for good? As many argue that we are not even good students of history, that if we were good students of history, we would have kept history alive. And that way, we would be able to indeed form a discourse, right, where we sit in a round table and really, really exact our minds in the most civil and responsible way towards bearing a better future. But all of these, has also led to some social factors where Nigeria, as a diverse country with over 250 ethnic groups, Badenoch's comments about the experiences growing up in Nigeria reflect the country's social, complexities. That's the truth. And if you look at it from the political, front, you would also notice that Nigeria's political landscape, though complex, has multiple parties and interest groups. So Badenoch's comment about Nigeria's corruption and insecurity also reflects the country's ongoing political challenges, right? So what political reforms are necessary to address Nigeria's governance challenges is what, another a school of thought is saying. That, look, rather than dwell on Badenoch's comment, why don't we look at the situation in itself, and which has formed a hydra, and cut off its head already, or go dig deep to its particular root and uproot it so it doesn't even have a stem to grow upon, right? Why don't we also take this, from the place of not considering the messenger, but of course looking at the message and the truthfulness in the message, as it were, is what, another school of thought is saying and looking, at in this very instance. But just as I said earlier, even you have had your own comments about Nigeria, but it always changes the narrative just a little bit when we have people of other descent outside the shores of Nigeria make some of these comments about us. It gives us some sort of bad feeling, some would say bad PR and all of that. And then, in fact, it's even worse when Nigerians themselves outside the shores of Nigeria are the ones who indeed meddle and peddle in these kinds of utterances. But then, look, we will still want to say all that they have ever said, based on their personal experiences, is it true or not true? Is it okay to say that because we are Nigerians, we should cover our flaws and act as though all is well when indeed all is not well? In fact, some would say that the truest and surest way of solving a problem is identifying that you even have that problem. Do we as a country, or have we as a country come to the place of realization that we do have a problem? And then what steps, what conscious efforts have we put in place to ensure that this problem, which is already becoming a hydra, is indeed tackled or nipped in the bud, right? What have we put in place to ensure that these issues, are nipped in the bud? Now, I could give you a personal story now. She gave, experience while growing up, where she mentioned, that while she was growing up in Nigeria, that experience significantly, changed or influenced a political view. She described hearing neighbors scream, as they were being boggled and beaten, wondering if home would be next, and that these experiences have shaped her conservative ideals and set her against, socialism. And then it also goes to the place of asking these very politicians, our own politicians, how do your personal experiences shape political, decisions and policy decisions. Because if indeed you say that you are homegrown, you're a true son of the soil, you wouldn't tell me that from the very start, each and every one of you, or all of you, had a silver lining in your tongue as you were born. Most of you, or some of you, had indeed grown from the slums, grown from the trenches, so you know what exactly it feels when you are deprived, when you are maltreated, when you are meted injustice, when you are, subjected to penury, when you have a voice, but that voice is almost snuffed out of your esophagus, and you cannot even make a statement of yourself because you are losing identity. And for some reason, which of course you might want to owe to your maker, God, and your parents or guardian, or to yourself, you have been able to now come in the place of position. Question will now be, have you forgotten so soon where you began from? But anyways, this is not going to be a sermon, because this is Eagle's Outlook, where we talk politics and current affairs. But if we have to preach it, we will preach it, because the idea is that we have to talk about these things and go straight, to its roots and define ourselves. Where do we stand exactly? Are we standing at a place always defending ourselves, in the face of truth? Or are we standing in the place of owning our truths? And of course, raising, a very critical platform that shows that, hey, even though these was our truths, we are ready to make a change. This is what we have put in place. This is the things we are doing to ensure that these things change. This narrative changes, because nobody has a clean past, a clean slate, past. Each and every one of us, we have one serious thing that probably we have done in the past that we are not so proud of. But nobody really wants to know your past in the face of success, right? So when there is success, if Nigeria was working and Kemi Badenoch came up with all of these conversations, everybody's going to be like, you still live in the past? Please go back to the past. As far as we're concerned, we already moved on. Because we are no longer what you described. That was a journey from where we came from, but that's not who we are anymore. Well, joining us in the discourse and the conversation this morning would be our guest in the person of Comrade Gerald Okachi. He's a human rights activist, a public affairs commentator, and social analyst. Comrade Gerald, welcome to Eagle's Outlook this morning.
Oh, yes, a very good morning to you. Thank you for having me.
That's right. It feels good. It feels good. And thank you for the sacrifices that you have to forego just to always have this conversation with us. We do not take that for granted, right? Yeah. Now, let's look at, Badenoch's comment. And from my understanding, Badenoch actually married a Scottish banker, and that's how she got the Badenoch surname. And she has been very, very active just of late, speaking about some of the issues of her origin country. That's talking about Nigeria, even in the UK, right? And she had come under the knife, where the vice president, Kashim Shettima, had accused her of denigrating the country. And it has really sparked, some conversation, because she had hinged her discourse around corruption and insecurity. And in fact, she has given experiential details of some of her experiences while she was in Nigeria, precisely the city or her home state of Lagos State. And she had constantly makes use of Nigeria as a contrast, whilst speaking to the British, conservative people right there in a party, saying that, hey, we don't have to be like this. We don't have to be like where I'm coming from or where I hail from. This is what we must do so that we don't end up like that. Always using Nigeria, and that is really stirring quite a number of issues. From your, publicist and very well informed perspective, Comrade Gerald, what do you make of all of this? What should be our focus at this point in time? Because some would say, is what the things she says, are they true or not? Should we focus on the things she says, or should we focus on the person itself that is saying it? What are your wild thoughts about this, though?
Well, to start with, Kemi Badenoch comments about Nigeria, especially the Nigerian police force, should not be seen as a big issue, because even those for against, especially those against his comments about his country of origin, if they have the chance she has, they will even do worse. But then, let us look and analyze why Nigerians in diaspora criticize Nigeria. Nigerians in diaspora often criticize Nigeria for several reasons, driven by their experiences abroad and their perspective on the country's challenges. Their criticism typically stems from a combination of frustration, concern, and hope for improvement. And I can highlight some of these expectations, which are emotionally connected. One is the strong ties. Despite living abroad, many Nigerians in diaspora maintain deep connection to their home country. So, criticism often reflects their emotional investment in Nigeria's potential and their disappointment with the current state of affairs. Second, their desire for change. Many criticize because they want to see Nigeria thrive and believe addressing its flaws in the first step towards improvement. Now, you put a contrasting experience on one side. You talk about exposure to better systems. Living in countries with stronger governance, better infrastructure, and more functional public services allows most Nigerians, because it's 9 out of every 10 Nigerians that goes out, that we begin to say one negative thing about the country. You understand? So, diasporas recognizes how far Nigerian lags behind in areas like healthcare, education, and most importantly, law enforcement. You talk about frustration with inefficiency. Witnessing efficient system abroad highlights the inefficiencies and corruption they experience when dealing with Nigerian institutions. You talk about persistent issues in Nigeria, which number one is corruption. Rampant corruption across various levels of government and institutions is a frequent target of criticism, especially the forces like Nigerian police force. Lack of basic service, the absence of reliable electricity, poor health care, failing infrastructure, and underfunded education systems are often source of frustration. Now you come into insecurity, where issues like kidnapping, terrorism, and police brutality create a sense of despair among Nigerians abroad who worry about loved ones back home. Now you talk about unfulfilled potential. Nigeria is often seen as a country with immense resources, talent, and potential, yet blocked by poor leadership, systemic challenges. Diasporans criticize this gap between Nigeria could be and what it currently is. You talk about their personal experiences as exhibited by Kemi Badenoch. Those personal experiences of frustrations. Many Nigerians in diaspora face bureaucratic hurdles when engaging the Nigerian institutions, such as renewing passports or handling property. These experiences fuel their criticism. Stories of corruption and exploitations during visits to Nigeria often leave a lasting impression. For example, just barely a year ago, we have on record a Dutch tourist being extorted, harassed by the Nigerian police officers along Badenoch or thereabouts. Just barely a year ago, December last year, 2 constables harassed and exploited a tourist. You talk about responsibility to advocate for change, platform for advocacy. Nigerians in diaspora often feel a responsibility to use their platform to highlight Nigerian issues especially as the voices may be more amplified internationally. Diaspora remittances are significant contributors to Nigerian economy through remittances. They feel justified in holding the government accountable. Frustration with leadership. Many diasporans view Nigerian leadership as the roots of the country's problems, citing incompetency, corruption, and lack of vision as major barriers to progress. You talk about leadership failures leadership failures are especially frustrating when compared to examples of transformational leadership seen in those countries where they reside. You talk about hope and optimism. Despite their criticism, many Nigerians in diaspora remain hopeful that the country can change. Their critique often comes from a place of wanting better for Nigeria and future generations. So the criticism of Nigerians in diaspora reflects a combination of disappointment, frustration, and a desire for a better Nigeria. While these critics can sometimes appear harsh, they often stem for a deep-seated hope that the country will overcome its challenges and realize its potentials. Criticism, when constructively, can play a vital role in driving conversation, just like we are having about reforms and accountability. Now, why this one is generating the kind of dot is generating, because Kemi Badenoch has origin from Africa, especially Nigeria. But it's not the worst of the things we have heard about us. In 2016, the then Prime Minister of the UK, I think David Cameron, in one of his conversations with late Queen Elizabeth II, he referred to Nigeria as a fantastically corrupt country. You understand? But then, when he made that comment, we saw the response of the government, led by President Muhammad Buhari. He was very calculative in his response. And his response, he said that he was not expecting any apology from anybody. You understand? That whatever either the UK government have said or Prime Minister said is a reflection. If I quote him right, he said, I'm not going to demand any apology from anybody. What I'm demanding is the return of assets. This demonstrated Buhari focus on addressing corruption and recovering stolen funds rather than dwelling on the remarks. And that is what I expect this government to do.
All right.
Answer with Kemi Badenoch's comments.
All right, let me put a peg to your thoughts so that we just go, on a little bit of recess. We'll be right back in a short bit after now, right? And, open the phone lines and engage more conversation on this topical issue, right? All right, so that being said, let's just go on a little recess. We'll be right back in a short bit. This is Eagles Outlook right here on Eagles 102.3 FM Abuja. Don't go away.
Eagles 102.3 Abuja.
Your number one radio experience you can count on. Eagles 102.3 Abuja.
I don't need no liquor. I'm intoxicated by you.
My country people, who work is supposed to enjoy you after all the hustle. You not supposed to take your comfort play to fit sleep the way it's supposed to be. Make you go grab your Eurofoam mattress. Make you forget your full comfort. Whether na Euro Spring, Euro Orthopedic, or semi-orthopedic, Diamond and Diamond Plus. And for Comfort Pro Max, Eurofoam don't introduce latest in town. That na Euro Elite. This one, they sleep jolly meant no get equal. Eurofoam get quality pillows and sheetings. Eurofoam shop yakpa everywhere for Bodo Nigeria. Eurofoam, sleep the way.
Eagles 102.3 FM Abuja, here to stay.
Please listen to this infomercial.
Hello Nigeria, hello Africa. Do you want to work in the healthcare sector? Do you want to be a trained, certified nursing assistant, medical assistant, or caregiver? If yes, then register to enroll for Push Africa's 1-year diploma in certified nursing assistance training happening at the African University College of Science and Technology, Abuja, targeted Trainees are unemployed graduates, O-level or ordinary diploma graduates, or anyone interested in working as a support worker in the healthcare sector. For details, log on to www.pushafrica.org or WhatsApp 080-339-42015, 080-339-42015, 080-339-42015. For registration, pick up application form at our partner radio stations or visit the reception at the African University of Science and Technology, Abuja.
Eagles 102.3 Abuja.
This is a public service announcement. Job vacancy, job vacancy, job vacancy. Albecker Travels Limited is seeking suitable and qualified individuals to join our dynamic team as executive marketers. Requirements: interested applicants must reside in Abuja, minimum of a university degree, at least 5 years of marketing experience, result-oriented and capable of meeting monthly targets. Job description: goals, responsibilities, source students for admission into university in Europe. Work type would be flexible and remote. Remuneration: basic allowance plus very attractive commissions. Application process: interested applicants should address their applications to the director, the Elites Educational Consulting Limited, Abuja, and attach a detailed CV. The Elites is spelled DE-ELITES Educational Consulting Limited, Abuja, and please do well to attach a detailed CV. Submit via email to the Elites Educational Consult at gmail.com. For further details, send Study Abroad Marketing in capitals to 091 1749 7620. That is 091 1749 7620. Join us to make an impact in the travel and educational consulting industry. For the last time, send in caps Study Abroad Marketing to 091 1749 7620. That is 091 1749 7620.
Eagles 102.3 Abuja.
My people, the thing where they happen for my area,
Do you think I will now find out that you have contract to bring fresh girls?
I brought you from the gutters. Who gave you all the connects? MDG who? Without me, you would have been nobody. But
Join Media Coalition and Awareness to Halt Human Trafficking, MICAT, on I Wish I Knew radio drama every Saturday at 10 a.m. Let us join hands and kick human trafficking out of our communities. I Wish I Knew radio drama, brought to you by MICAT in partnership with the National Agency for Prohibition of Trafficking in Persons, NAPTIP, and funded by the Embassy of Denmark in Nigeria.
Eagles 102.3 Abuja.
Back from that recess and still talking the matters that concern Badenoch's comment. That is Kemi Badenoch's comment, and we're still analyzing it. Well, you want to jump on this and you want to tell us your thoughts about this, letting us into what you think, we should be focusing on, what you think about her comment as well. You might as well want to give us your thoughts via 0907 353 0044 or 0908 766 8888, and a WhatsApp portal number where you can only send a WhatsApp message would be 0909-705-4450. Keep in mind the fact that there's been quite a number of comments by different stakeholders as well as elder statesmen within and outside the shores of Nigeria concerning the Nigeria situation. As for Kemi Badenoch, has been mostly about corruption and insecurity, And could we also say that they have the right to say what they say because of their love for the country? Is that what drives them to saying what they have to say? I mean, the Vice President, Kashim Shettima, had very quickly jumped on that one, saying that she should take back, what she said, that it was denigrating of the country, and that if she doesn't feel so proud about being Nigerian, that she should remove the Kemi, from her name, and maybe that way we know that, okay, you're not Nigerian after all. You can say what you want to say. We still have our guest, who is in the person of Comrade Kachi O'Gerald, who has been in the discourse, for from the beginning of the discourse this morning. As I said earlier, the number that you probably would want to stick to would be 0907 353 0044. 0907 353 0044. Right? Well, getting back with you, Comrade Kachi Gerald, let's just very quickly look at, some of the expectations that Nigerians have and what should have been the case, in a similar situation as this, right? Some expectations will be the fact that although we understand that several expectations, are there from Nigerians and stakeholders, but Badenoch's comments has some sort of implications. I mean, Nigerians expect Badenoch to clarify her comments and provide, some evidence to support her claims. Stakeholders are expecting the Nigerian government to take concrete steps to addressing corruption and insecurity, and then for the international, cooperation stance, Nigerians are expecting international partners, including the UK, to support Nigeria's development efforts and address global, challenges. And one question will come to mind: how can Nigeria and its international partners work together to address corruption and insecurity in the country in the face of this growing, challenges? But just before you add your voice to that, let's just take this call. Hello and good morning to you.
Good morning, bro.
Good morning to you, Elder Onaja. Where are you calling from?
To you and then my regard to my speaker there.
Thank you. Where are you calling from, Elder?
I'm calling from.
All right, Elder, let's get into it very quickly.
People don't know. People know corruption is different than theft. Never was corruption house. The perfect example.
Elder, we can barely hear you. You might want to move a bit. Yes. Elder, it's not. No, Elder, you might want to call back. You started well, but then we just lost a real connection to you. You also want to put that call through 0907 353 0044. Or better still, you can also get onto the WhatsApp portal 0909 705 4450 and leave us a comment, and we will herald it for you. Hello and good morning. Hello? Oh, come on. This is really bad. What is going on with the network, please? I want to beg and indulge us to get onto the WhatsApp, portal right there and let your comments, be heard, be known. Type it there via WhatsApp because for some reason, I don't know, the network is very uncooperative. Okay, we'll just try one more time. But if it doesn't work, please head on to the WhatsApp portal. Hello, good morning. Hello? Okay, now that's a really terrible connection going on there. Apologies. But then, as I said, get on to the WhatsApp portal and leave us a WhatsApp message and let's go conversational. So, yes, with you, comrade, at this point in time, I mean, there are some very critical concepts and very, critical aspects that we must look into. One of such, of course, you mentioned already, corruption. Another would be insecurity. And I recall that you mentioned that, look, some of these comments that come from Nigeria from in the diaspora about Nigeria or Nigerians, is mostly out of love. That is not usually because they want to dent the country, but it is because they have gone out there and have seen how things work, and they're saying, hey, this is how it used to be, or it is in my country, and it is out of a longing for change. But then again, some are coming from the place of a need for economic reforms, where Nigeria needs economic reforms to address its development challenges. As many would say that, look, if should we be able to nip some of these issues in the bud, maybe not totally annihilate it, but maybe ameliorate it, reduce it to at a level that we may not really have Nigerians, whether in the country, within the country, or in the diaspora, make such statements about the country, because at this point it will be our effort will be seen, will be felt, will be heard, to every pinner of the ear. But then, don't you also think that these statements coming from someone like Kemi Badenoch, could also have some, could also affect the Nigeria UK as well as Nigeria international countries' relations in one way or the other, or negatively?
One thing that is for sure with regards to Kemi's comment is that he's very weighty, and as a public figure, he can influence opinions, politics, diplomatic engagements, and other things put together, especially as a leader in the United Kingdom. But then, it's important we try to see how we can make the best out of that, of our statement. What are the positive impacts of our statement? Is spotlighting police reforms needs. You understand? Those comments, I think, could bring international attention to long-standing issues such as corruption, inefficiency, or brutality within the Nigerian police. This can encourage Nigerian authorities to prioritize reforms and improve accountability. It can as well encourage international support. Her remark might lead to support from international organizations or government for initiatives aimed at improving police training, equipping law enforcement agencies, or enhancing oversight mechanisms. It can as well empower civil society, increasing from a high-profile figure, and could embolden civil society groups and activists in Nigeria, such as those involved in the NSAS and bad governance movements, among others. Highlighting the positive examples. You understand? In fact, I think she's been honest to start with. She's been totally honest to start with. If we look inward, it's better someone tell you the truth the way it is, no matter how bitter it is. It helps in preparing you for improvement. But if we begin to hide, maybe we begin to classify patriotism by, hiding or shining away from what we know that is really eating us like cancer, it will not help us. For example, we saw what happened about 4 or 5 months ago. 5 months ago, that is with regards to bad government protests, and how many Nigerians, both adults and teenagers, juveniles, were arrested, maltreated, tortured, made to pass inhuman treatment. And until it comes to public light, just like Kemi's interview came to public light, we saw the swift reaction. But before then, some of us who are the forefront demanding for the release of these protesters, we are seen as maybe not too, we're not patriotic enough, because some of the charges levied against these protesters ranges from having to plotting to overthrow government, felony, and some things that you imagine. If you look at the theme of the protest, end bad government, how does it relate to taking over government? They say they fly flag and so on and so forth. But then, one fundamental thing out of it is that just last week, We saw one of the judges that is sitting on the matter, who was supposed to sit on Abuja 11, but they claimed there was no date, there's no space, and the excuse is put in. But the same judge sat on the former governor of Kogi State matter, Yaya Bello. You see that double standard, inconsistencies. You understand? So, are we denying the fact that what Kemi said is the reality with? My elder brother was meant to miss admission because he was about to write post UME. On his way from East to, I think, Kogi or Benue State to write post UME, police stopped him on the way. He was supposed to travel like today. Tomorrow will be the exam. That evening, police arrested him along with others by that Enugu Benue border. He stayed with police until the following morning around 10 a.m. before he was released, because he was refusing to part money. Before he could get to that place, the exam is over. So, if everybody begins to tell you one experience or the other he has encountered, myself, I know how many times I have been detained. I've detained in Lagos just for carrying Starcom telephone that I don't have the ID card. Money was extorted from me. I've been detained in Abuja here, 4 days without food and water in Kuje. If everybody begins to tell you his experience in one way, if this that does not, I don't know how to put it, you sometimes when I look at Nigerian matters, I weep. So is she telling lies? These are dark realities.
Yeah, but
one of my comrades who is a journalist doing the work we are doing, covering protests of Shiites demanding for the release of their leader in 2020, was killed by the Nigerian police here in Abuja at Beggar Roundabout. The family are still suffering today with the children he left behind and the wife. Even when we went to court and obtained judgment, implementation of that judgment is a very big problem up to date. Judgment obtained since last year. And the person they showed is Comrade Sobu. How many are you going to count? So, is Kemi comments, are they lies? They are not lies. There's no single comment he made here that are lies.
All right, let me put a peg to your thoughts.
That because of her heritage, where she comes from, that's why it's raising conversations.
Let's just go see what family members are saying now. Now, good morning, Daniel. I'm in Nasarawa State. This is coming from Tekembi Hundu. Says the statement by Kemi should not be seen as the market in Nigeria, but a wake-up call for leaders to change the narration. All she said is correct. From bad governance, bribery, corruption, police and army brutality, and she talked about Boko Haram in the north as a business for some northerners. Last month, David Adeleke, aka Davido, said similar comments about Nigeria's bad economy on USA radio station. And okay, that's where you stop, Taken B. All right, thank you, Taken B. And now we see this one coming from Yusuf, all the way from Wuse 2. Yusuf is saying best sending regards to you, as well as saying that the recent derogatory statement made by one Kemi Badenoch against Nigeria was born out of ignorance in the first place. Nigeria is not a poor country, as she claimed. Agreed that few bad eggs in the police sometimes act unprofessionally. That doesn't mean that she should label our policemen as thieves. That statement is reckless and defamatory, as the same cannot be substantiated. I wish to remind her that the root cause of the problem we are facing in Nigeria today was caused by her country, the UK. Kemi's narratives suggest that our security, economic and political challenges are homegrown, but the truth is that Britain, as our colonial master, created these problems for selfish reasons before they left. The Nigeria police she defamed was established and trained by the British to suppress opposition to their colonial rule and exploitation of our resources. She alleged corruption in Nigeria, but UK and other European countries are culprits as they conspire to warehouse stolen wealth from Nigeria, which till date they are still reluctant to repatriate. Kemi should be told that Nigeria will be better if a country agrees to return our stolen assets stashed in British banks instead of denigrating Nigerians. Have a nice day. Yusuf says that. Well, Comrade this is where we will pull the plugs now in the discourse. But then I would love for you to give, if not 2 sentences, as you draw closure to this discourse, and of course to each and every one of us trying to put a call through. Sorry, the network has not been very fair. Let's hear you, comrade.
Well, I think Kemi's comment is a wake-up call for us to reshape our ways, our thinking, the way we approach issues. It's a very important call that if we look away from the negative or go out of our ego in terms of defense and look at the possible positive we can take from it, it will help us to improve. It will help us to attract international support, especially when it comes to training. Talking about her saying that it appears like we have a licensed individual. Giving the Nigerian police gun, any agency gun, is like a licensed gun to rob Nigerians. Well, I would say that such statements may not be sensitive, but then if you have traveled, especially in a U-type period like we have now, festive period, from north to south, any south of Nigeria, either southeast, south, southwest, period like this, you understand what she's saying?
Okay. All right.
There's no way to go by road.
Yeah.
That you don't have numerous encounters, especially in the southeast.
All right. I would want to pull the plugs right now because time is not allowing for us. But comrade, thank you for adding your voice in the discourse, and we look forward to having more conversation with you in the coming days.
Thank you for having me.
Appreciate. Well, and to you, us too, that has also added your voice. We appreciate you in no small way, and we also like to state that your views have not been influenced by us in any way or any time. But then this is how we say a very good thank you, and say a close to on the show today. Tomorrow is yet another time, and be sure to be politically sound because the powers in the people and politics is what we address. My name is Udwak Daniel.
Eagles 102.3 Abuja.
This is Eagles 102.3 News, your number one radio experience.